Good evening, my friends. This is Big Cheds coming to you live here on Friday, November 2nd, 2018. It is an honor. We're here with our new featured contributor to Bitcoin Live. We're here with the one and only Big Chonas. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Cheds, how are you tonight? Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So, lots going on in the market. Why don't we just kind of jump right in? What's your feeling? Kind of what's going on right now?
Well, listen, we just finished up the month of October. We're a couple days now into November.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting in lower lows. We're putting in higher lows and lower lows. So we're still stuck in our equilibrium.
Uh-huh. Let's check it out. Let me put your screen up here and you can kind of just lay it out for us, brother.
I think there might be a little echo in your background there.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, there's this debate still raging about, are we finding this bottoming pattern here? Are we finding this moment here where we keep putting in a higher low and we're trying to find some sort of a floor, some sort of a bottoming in the price of Bitcoin now, and we're kind of grasping at every bullish move we have. After this bear break, we had this kind of, if you say inverse bar here, and then we had a little smaller one here where we broke bearish again, and we're trying to claw our way back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now we broke bearish from our nearest swing low to our nearest swing high, and
Mm-hmm.
we did find support at the 786 Fibonacci retrace level. We're currently ranging between the 55 and 61, kind of sandwiched between those. And we're about 40 minutes away from our daily close here. We have a large upper wick here. And our volume has been, pretty decent the
Wow.
past couple of days. We're putting in our fourth day barely in a row
Mm-hmm.
of a bullish candle, a bullish momentum after our bear break we had just about towards the end of October there. But we're still ranging in this range where you ask me, am I bullish or am I bearish? Well, what does that really mean? The bear break of 6,000
Mm-hmm.
would be significant. Thusly, a bull break of around 67, 68 to $800, which is where we had wicked out previously mid-October, would also be very notable. So until we break really through either of these two ranges, kind of about a $600 to $700 price range, we aren't going to get a notable change in direction or a notable either continuation of our bearishness, which we've experienced all year, or are we kind of putting some sort of a bullish trend change until we can break above these key areas?
Mm-hmm.
We are still going to be keeping this equilibrium and ranging until
Mm-hmm.
proven otherwise.
That's a great analysis. What's kind of going on too? We have like a convention right now. You've got the Bitcoin fork thing. You've got BAT, BAT on Coinbase. A lot of stuff's going on. Like what jumps out to you that's most interesting?
All the above is important, and a lot of things have definitely been backloaded until the end of the year, which is still, we're getting into November, we're getting into the holiday season in the U.S., and I'm reminded of where we were a year ago. In the price of Bitcoin and the price of a lot of these altcoins and how much money had yet to come into crypto, as we concluded the year. And now we're almost 11 months later here. And what we're seeing here is this consistent stability. We talk about, Bitcoin was so volatile. How could it ever be like a standard of value? And now we're complaining about the stability of Bitcoin and how stable and how straight its price action has been. But everything keeps pointing to this tightening of range and this inevitability of a much larger move, volume-based move that's yet to come in. Now, remember, as Bitcoin has been able to run steady sideways with a slight chance of bullishness, you've seen several altcoins as well that have a chance to kind of build on that momentum and pop based on their own independent charts. So Bitcoin continues to range in this price action, allowing little bits here and there of poppage, if you will, of bullishness, if you will, on specific news-driven events that are pushing certain altcoins. But crypto market cap, et cetera, continues to drop, and money continues to be pulled so far out of crypto, not necessarily into crypto. I'd like to see that proven change, momentum trend continue potentially as we end into this year.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And I think while you were talking, Big Jonas, I was just drawing up the weekly chart. As you were talking about the bigger picture, I was kind of looking at the candles and trying to get a feel for it. And I'd like to, every time I look at a chart, I like to come back to it later and erase my old markings and look at it fresh. You know what I mean? And I just did that, and it just jumped out to me, my friend. You look, this is a support area that's held now several times. We have clearly the bullish consolidation period here in October last year. You know, we held support here on this long-legged doji early February. It held support again here in the spinning top in June. You know, a couple times here as well in August. So that's a pretty good support level. And with that support level, we have bullish divergence. We have the higher lows in the on-balance volume, right, versus the price. And it's not, knock you out of your chair bullish divergence. We're talking about a slight bullish divergence. Okay, two degree angle here, roughly, versus like a -1 degree angle there. You know, generally speaking. So I think there's still a really good argument for the bulls here for the bottom. I'm not like overly bullish, but I'd be like cautiously bullish. That's kind of where I stand, just based on this setup. I don't see any impetus to break the support.
Well, it's a valid hypothesis, just in the fact that, as you've stated, we keep holding this, little bit under 6K area. Been tested many times since February. You can see we circled the area back in last October, where there was some chop in the price action before Bitcoin took its next, parabolic move from 5K to 20K almost. So yes, that is definitely notable. I see it, as a basketball, bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and losing momentum until it basically loses that spring action, that kind of volatility, that allowance of these bounces to happen. We've seen all through 2018, the bounce through February, the bounce through April, the bounce through July. They get smaller and smaller. So yes, we are holding this consistent base, but we're also putting lower lows through the entire year of 2018. So in the argument that it can be made bullish that we are holding a higher low, we are also putting in the fact that no one's prepared to really buy big money yet above $6,500, $6,700. And until that trend changes, for me personally, I have to remain on a bearish tendency, basically waiting to retest lower areas in the sub 5K area, or at least the low 5K area.
But it's just not convinced. It's just a really unconvincing argument. Like, why would you break support? Unless there's something you're not telling me that convinces you we would break the support, right? Like, I don't.
It's about patience. It's about the fact that I agree with you, the support's there, but if the buyer intent isn't ready to purchase at this level here, there's a capitulation moment where the bulls that are currently holding are kind of saying, "Oh, if no one's really able to buy above these levels here, I'm going to get out because I know we're going lower. I'm going to be prepared to buy lower." And that kind of event can happen. Now, there's an argument as to what kind of pattern this is as well. Are we going to descending triangle, descending wedge?
Let me counter argue. I'm itching to counter argue because I just like to simplify it, right? You have an uptrend, you have a downtrend, you have a sideways. Or what if everything is one of those three? Let's just simplify it, okay? You're up, you're down, and you're sideways. All right, Bitcoin is clearly in a downtrend since December. All right. So if we take a general look at the volume profile, we have a declining trend volume. We have a declining strength of trend. Okay. Which suggests there's no impetus to reignite the downtrend just based on the volume profile. It suggests, at worst, a minimal uptrend, just based on kind of the probability.
I'm seeing a deflating volume, as you just so eloquently pointed out. Why is that supposed to lead me to believe that there's a surge of money about to enter the market?
Well, you don't need a surge. Look, I'm not talking about going to here, but you don't need a surge of money to go to like 10, 12K, just based on kind of the consolidation pattern, just in the fact you have selling drying up. You do have bullish divergence. But look at the stochastics RSI has more bullish divergence than the OBV. I mean, so you've got clearly a decent, a minimal dead cat if you think that's what's going to happen. But you're not going to 5K until you have a little bounce here. I just don't see it.
I think because we're in such a low volume environment, especially retail volume, low retail volume, it doesn't take a lot of money, for a couple whales to pump the price, to get a little FOMO happening.
Right.
We can keep seeing that individually, altcoin by altcoin, as Bitcoin stability has held through these many weeks. So that promise can still be there. That narrative of a Bitcoin pop can be there. And then you have to really argue the question about, a Bitcoin bullish move. Is that kind of suck money out of the altcoin market, or is that kind of basically reevaluate a lot of the altcoin prices? It's been a while since we've seen that rising tide lifts all boat situation. When Bitcoin has broken bullish in the past, in this moment, in the 2018 cycle, we've seen it actually take money and dominance away from the altcoins as money flows into it. And then when it settles, the money spreads out into the altcoins. We kind of see a reverse to that. Bitcoin is still the king and still runs the show. And we have to ask the question, if this area, if your solid support area of 6K cannot hold and gets cut in half or even by a third, how does that affect the overall crypto and altcoin market? I personally would be a much happier buyer at lower prices, and perhaps that's what the bigger money is waiting for.
That's a really good call. I mean, there's a good argument both ways. I think it's good that we often disagree because we can kind of give people different ways to look at it. I know one that you're really have a good feel for. I was wondering if you could just maybe give us your thoughts on Litecoin and kind of what you think it's going to do, where maybe you think it's a good value. Just generally what your thoughts are on that, if you don't mind.
Well, Litecoin has been one of those coins where I've always felt it's kind of been leading the way in terms of what we're supposed to expect with the Bitcoin price action. The biggest thing that sticks out to me, and again, as Cheds, you talk about trading style and about, once you find your style as a trader, you get more comfortable and you get more confident in the decision makings that you choose to kind of set your trades on. And for me personally, I've always felt that Litecoin has been setting kind of a roadmap, if you will, to the eventuality of Bitcoin here. So what we're watching here, I just have my monthly chart. Remember, we just started a new month of Litecoin, right? So we're on a monthly chart here of Litecoin. And what we're seeing here is after 2 months of holding the Bollinger, the middle Bollinger here with a nice bounce, another nice bounce, and then a rejection, we've basically been trailing significantly below it for several months now. And Bitcoin is always going to hold up the best out of all of them. It's always going to prove that it will be the last one where a lot of the money pulls out. Alts will basically take that money out of the first. And if we look at Bitcoin, we see for the very first month in forever, at least since our bullish break of Bitcoin through our bearish market there, we have broken our middle Bollinger support on the monthly chart, very similar to what Litecoin did 4 months ago. So as Litecoin setting the way in terms of what could potentially happen, now Litecoin as a whole holding this 50 area, plus or minus a couple bucks.
Right. Isn't 50 more significant than the MA20 in that chart? Because it's only one. You only really have, it's a small line, right? And 50 is psychological.
It's like a very psychological number. It is. But think about it just as the way 100 felt like there was the same thing, Cheds, and then how like a hot knife through butter, it just kind of eventually.
Yeah, but I'll counter. Yeah, but I'll counter. Like all the guys that we know were getting into it heavy, months before November, right? And we saw them tweeting, and we know who we're talking about. I mean, $30 to $50. That's where the smart money was loading. So wouldn't that be a logical support area, 35 to 50?
And that's why we've kind of held in this area for several months here. But if this fails to hold support, we see how quickly Litecoin went super bullish. Remember, it wasn't more than a little over a year ago when Litecoin was under $10. So can you argue that $50 compared to where we were at 420, where we topped off, is a value? I guess you can. But can you argue that $50 is a value where it was at $10? Not that long, relatively speaking, to the chart patterns and historically. And the fact that we're holding resistance under our EMA 26, our middle BB is way up there.
Well, hold on. But is it also those? Yes. So you're making a great point. Like it's value versus where it is to the top and where it is from the bottom, right? That's really good. But wouldn't we also want to look at its BTC ratio, right? So that would be potentially an indicator of how cheap or expensive LTC is.
Sure, but that's also an argument about seeing that divergence, right? So when we look at Litecoin and we're asking ourselves, is it found its it's kind of divergent bearishness to Bitcoin, and is prepared to kind of make that
Mhm.
move there.
Mhm.
It's funny you bring this chart up here because I actually haven't looked at it in quite a while, but we
Yeah.
have kind of this longer term channel here
Mhm.
that we continue to kind of put in
Mhm.
from a very long term perspective. We're getting closer to our lower channel support
Mm.
in terms of the ratio, the BTC, how much LTC is valued based on BTC.
Can I
Now
make an
we've been
argument?
sure.
It jumps right out to me. I mean, look,
Mm,
so I'm trained like volume candles. So I go, okay, before I try to look at the candle signals, where's the most volume? I go, boom, right in the middle. Look what happened, right in the middle. So what does that mean to me? See that morning star reversal? That means
mm.
that's the number one level in this whole picture. Nothing else matters but what happens right there, and that's where we are consolidating. So that's for me. That's what I see, and that explains the whole picture to me.
Yeah, and listen, we talk about risk versus reward in terms of where you want to make your longer term entries. You don't want to buy towards the top of a move, but we're close towards the bottom. And
Mm.
some of our indicators are stochastic on the monthly. Super bottomed out right here. Doesn't mean it can't go lower, but at least it can show that we're buying at a risk versus reward standpoint. Our RSI sub 50, but
Mm.
trying to change direction, still putting in lower lows, still putting in lower highs. These are patterns that have not changed direction yet. These are not patterns that haven't found significant reversal movements yet. And you have to ask yourself with a volume profile, and Chad, you talk about volume all the time. The
Mm.
volume profile is so low, lack of
Mm.
actual dollar money flow. How can you be, from a longer term perspective, willing to turn the corner on this situation here
I
where the
have a
volume
great,
profile suggests otherwise?
but sorry, I keep interrupting him. So I just enjoy talking to him. I'm so excited. Uh, but we're seeing. Look, what did I say before? Downtrend turns into a sideways, turns into an uptrend. We're seeing that the selling drying up at support. Isn't that all what it boils down to? Selling is drying up with price consolidating at support. Isn't that Isn't that what it
Yeah.
boils down to?
Well,
But
that's
you're
why
also
we're
saying,
watching.
why would someone buy it now? That's the other argument, right?
There's valid points, and that allows a lot to do with what the Bitcoin chart really is telling us on the monthly here.
Mm.
As you mentioned, the selling is drying up. That's valid, but all these major resistances that we keep breaking, okay? I'm a big fan of the back test. So there's precedent to back test back up to $6,700, maybe retest that middle Bollinger, which is now acting as a resistance point in the first time in 2 years. So these are moments here where I keep referring back to previous history to kind of set the stage in terms of where we could be heading regardless of these news events and whatnot.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So we have some requests here from the Bitcoin Live members, and I definitely appreciate all of you. And if you've Big Jonas, you just put out an article, a really cool article for members about
Yeah.
playing. Yeah. Do you want to just talk about maybe a little bit about that? Did you have fun making it? And how do you feel about it?
Well, I really appreciate being able to kind of share my contact with the Bitcoin Live community. And my most recent submission basically was talking about gaps in the price. You guys who have followed me for a while have heard me talk about CME chart in terms of the CME futures chart, watching to see if gaps in the chart, open gaps especially, if they're actually going to be filled and waiting to be filled when they are created by either volatile moves in the price action and or that closing period where we actually have a close of the price on Friday evening, open Sunday night, and in between those two time periods, we actually have a move in the price of Bitcoin that basically creates these gaps in the price, and I still feel there's a couple gaps. Well, really one specifically, it's still down around the $6,100 range.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of waiting to be filled there, and where are we here? We are right there, around 6140 on the 30-minute chart. Now, again, I have to go down to a much lower time frame to actually find this gap, but this is the highest time frame with the actual only open gap still available to keep
Mm-hmm.
note of. And as a trader, I keep note of this because I like to have these things closed before I can think of more bullish or bearish scenarios. Until this gap opening is filled, I still feel there's a better chance to go lower in the short term before
Yeah.
we're able to get some more longer term bullish momentum.
I think going to that level and holding would be completely fine and make complete sense to me and still be bullish. Let's just jump right into some chart requests for the members. We have TRX requested by Madeira. We'll just do a view here of our good friend TRX, the #1 in your cold wallet, Big Jonas.
I'm a believer, right?
Yeah, you are. You're a Justin believer. Just a brief thing here. We're clearly rallying here at the MA50. We did it once. We're doing it again here, also at the lower Bollinger Band. So that's potentially a bullish confluence. We have the stochastics reset. OBV is kind of hanging in there. I think this looks okay, but we clearly have the downtrend to worry about, Big Jonas. Just this one here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this has been a very long-term consolidation. Ever since August when we bottomed out here, we found a little bit of a higher low come September, and then we've been able to basically build on that through the past month or so. But this is a very important point here where we're basically facing this kind of apex situation here where we're getting close to a decision time that kind of needs to be made here in our chart. We keep putting in these lower highs, higher lows, and we can continue to range in this area, for a little bit longer as we get farther into November here. Markets like to see previous areas of resistance turn into areas of support. TRX seems to be building on that platform here, but a lot of these bullish moves, a lot of profit keeps being taken in these moves. So we have short-term scalpers combined with longer-term investors here. The uptrend is still holding until proven otherwise.
Beautiful. I think that's a great analysis. Do you have any thoughts on Steem? STEEM? By Speeder. While you're pulling it up, the question is by Speeder, and I will share my. Why don't you get that ready? I'm going to quickly just apologize. I will queue it up myself.
Yeah, I got it here.
All right. So Steam BTC, I am looking at the daily chart, which is a nicer a view because you get a little bigger picture. Clearly, we are getting some nice volume here, Big Jonas, right there. Three of the last 4 sessions had really nice volume. Not a lot of volume in the sell-off candle. Bollingers are pinching. We have higher lows. This is generally bullish to me. What are your thoughts here, buddy?
Well, the volume is what really sticks out to me. As I look at the daily chart here, definitely see some nice candles here. But a lot of those volume bars have basically longer wicks. So initially speaking, we're definitely holding our higher lows from our September area there, which is definitely notable. We can keep that trend up here. We're also watching a nice rise in our OBV as well. So short term, we're definitely seeing some profit taking as these wicks are apparent, but we're climbing higher and beginning to put in supports now, especially my EMA 12, and just not able to currently close over the EMA 26, the 6, but 20 minutes left in the day, probably not going to be able to do that just yet. But again, building these higher lows of support, and the volume is definitely notable.
That's a great job there. I am going to queue up. We're going to do EOS next. I hope you guys are enjoying kind of the dual screen. You get to see my view. I get to see how he does it. Some people prefer how he does it. I think they're crazy. EOS, wow. It's kind of like Ripple, but not as tight. But like this is a crazy tight Bollinger Band situation. This is bullish to me. We're seeing some bullish divergence here with the on-balance volume. Just short term, because a little bit longer, you're matching the trend. This is favorable. I think this is something certainly worth watching. I'm stammering here because I like it. What do you think, buddy?
Well, what specifically it sticks out to you on it? In terms
Okay,
I just see all the sideways price action, right?
Yeah, I'll go back because fundamentally, what I see is okay. You have a downtrend that ended, and you have a consolidation period. The consolidation period is reaching its pivot. It's reaching its apex where something's going to happen right about here, because you have the Bollinger's tight. You have, generally a level of support being held. And I'm just an on-balance volume trader. When I see this rising, I know that the bulls are just getting ready to make a little move, and it wouldn't take much to test some of these lower highs here, even at that 91.60 level. So that's a pretty sweet trade right there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very similar chart almost to what we're kind of seeing in Bitcoin, where we keep putting in these higher lows barely. We're still
Hmm.
putting these lower lows barely, and we're getting very tight into our equilibrium pattern. It's
Hmm.
recent price action on the daily here completely mimics almost what we've seen in Bitcoin with this tightening equilibrium pattern, especially
Hmm.
the past 3 days, 1, 2, 3 days in a row, green, green, green. And
Yeah.
we're getting so close to this apex here of our price action that, as you said, but again, this can take us a couple more weeks. This can take us into mid-November before we
Hmm.
start really testing this definitive moment. And Bitcoin has shown that it could take us a couple more weeks of this sideways price action.
Yeah.
Alts have, at least the smaller priced alts, or lower cap alts, have
Mm.
been able to capitalize on this a little bit more than our higher price ones have been.
Let's check out. Yeah, let's check out. Hope those a bag of potato chips. Is that what that was? Let's check
Cool
out.
range.
Let's check out WTC Walton Coin. Oh my God, I can't believe I won.
You have to be there for that.
I waited to make sure it was funny for you to laugh, so I knew it was funny. Let's go here. So Walton Coin looks all right here. We have the nice downtrend ending. We have a period of consolidation. It's not overtly bullish. Clearly, bulls have tried a couple times and rejected lower prices. The bears rejected higher prices rather. But we do have, on the counter argument of that, we have a nice bull break recently, a bull break of this support. So just here, we have a little bit of profit taking, and we're kind of see if you can maintain these higher lows. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's beginning to put in some kind of a nice little uptrend here.
Yeah.
That's definitely notable. We can just, yeah, you can stay with yours.
Log? Is it log?
Um,
Log or what? No.
no, just probably go back to your chart
15-minute. That's sacrilege. You can't go to 15-minute chart. So anyway, so you can see
just
my.
stick with your chart is fine.
Yeah, you
But
can
I'm
see on
just
my
seeing,
screen.
yeah, again, I like the volume profile, and that definitely shows there's a lot of interest in this coin still, and a lot of money, at least from a perspective, looking to get back into something that has a better looking chart than most. But listen, until we are able to break that higher, that really significant, resistance right around 7K, a little sub 7K there. That's when we start talking about putting in a legitimate trend direction change. Otherwise, the lower lows are still in play until proven otherwise.
Beautiful, my friend. We're going to keep just trucking through these. Appreciate all the questions. Go Chain. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that one is? GTO? Go Chain. I'm not familiar with. Why don't you look for it briefly, my friend, if you can. I'm going to start talking about XEM requested by Petreet. So I'm going to maximize the chart, and it looks like this is a Bittrex one. It's also on Binance, I believe. XEM. So it's okay. It's holding a support level that I have marked from a prior show. So, we're waiting for a little bit of volume to uptick, but so far it's holding support. I think we need to continue watching that. What are your thoughts here as we hear your mouse scroll? What do we have?
NEM is continuing to put in these higher lows, which is notable. This is one of the higher cap coins because of its move back in 2017, and it's actually kind of had a tremendous pullback here. I mean, we basically gone back to zero, and we talk a lot about areas where moves begin. We had started this at around, I mean, the 200-300 Satoshi area. We had found support here, 1300. We broke bearish below it, and we came back all the way back here to this lower low from where we'd actually found support in around December before we had our major parabolic move. So over time, this is an example of when these pumps happen. They're quick, they're significant, and then they give all that back. So are we getting closer to a bottoming area, which we have seen several circumstances have been a very good entry opportunity to run up a parabolic move? Timing is the issue here. We have time separations here that can take almost a year. This one can be longer, waiting to see what happens with Bitcoin, because it could be a driving force in the price action of this one as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Appreciate your analysis. We're going to keep moving right along. RDD. I think that's Red Coin. RDD coin, RDD BTC. Red coin, it is on Bittrex. I think you pointed this one out to me a long time ago. Let's take a look. All right. So we had a bounce, clearly. We have the dark cloud cover from October 1st with a lot of volume behind it. So that was a pretty clear bear signal right here. This candle, the dark cloud cover, and we see the volume behind it was massive. So we see the fall through, the sell-off follow through has been significant. We are trying to rally, at a logical support area. So I think that's worth noting, but I would be skeptical for now. What are your thoughts briefly on RDD?
It kind of reminds me of Dog eCoin, these super sub Satoshi coins. This one, again, is one of those opportunities where it had a tremendous parabolic move, basically running from quad 8 all the way up to 190 Satoshi. Coming back here to the 40s, you have to argue, is this a value here? We see, historically speaking, 2017, we were at 4. We were at 4, we were at 5, we were at 6, and we found support at 8. And now we went to 30 and 44. So are we really at a value area yet in terms of how far this really can pull back, historically speaking? We're still holding a higher low. That is notable. But still, this is extremely low Satoshi with extremely low volume, currently traded on one major exchange.
All right, my friend. That's a great call. I think we have to keep an eye on that. Let's keep the train moving. So earlier, someone asked about GoChain. I looked it up. I'm sorry, I don't know all of them, but that's VET. I clearly know VET, but not like the olden days, my friend, where we knew both the symbols and all the names, right? So VET, and I'm referring to, of course, the time when we were trading penny stocks together. That's where we learned to be skeptical of all of these altcoins. Am I right?
We definitely saw the definition of the pump and dump many times.
Many times. So VET looks weak. Unfortunately, we are trying to find support. I don't know where the support is. We're riding that lower Bollinger. A bounce wouldn't surprise me, but it's still, just maybe we already broke that area. So we already broke the most, obvious support. So who knows? What do you think?
Who knows? We know. Right? Listen, we're putting in a continued downward trend here of market discovery. This one, I'm on Bitfinex here. Clearly, it was added towards the end of August. VET, BTC, and listen, we're just not finding. We're finding that we're keep seeing that post ICO sell-off. Basically, all that early money, bringing it to this exchange, selling off, liquidating it, moving into other assets. This is going to get really cheap. We're at 162 Satoshi, poised to potentially go a lot lower, putting in lower lows here, low volume profile as well. And again, these are circumstances where a lot of coins with low volume, yes, they can pump, but you got to take advantage of those pumps, those wicks that come in out of nowhere. Those are opportunities to get out, to sell, to take quick profits. I see it so many times. The wicks don't have follow through, and you wish you had sold out. This is a low volume coin. Stay cautious on the low volume coins.
So just a little thank you. We'll contact you about 5 more coin requests and then an open-ended question, and we can kind of wrap it up, I think, through that, circle back to Bitcoin. For our friend Yanisumi, we're going to check out Dash, DASH. So Dash on the daily chart. I'm going to remove my old markings to look at it fresh. Bollingers are pinching. I don't like how stock RSI is already overbought. We have this recent, it could be an inverted hammer, but depending on how it plays out, it could be a gravestone doji even. But you really need an uptrend to have a gravestone doji. So it's an inverted hammer, which may be invalidated shortly on a support break. What are your thoughts?
It's one of those high-priced coins in terms of a USD valuation. What we're watching here is currently holding that 786 retrace level from its recent net low to net high. Basically, we had that bottoming in the end of August there, and we're still putting in that hold of this area. Volume is moderate, but again, this is one of the valuation things where when a coin is valued over $100 or just under $100, you have to ask yourself, is it really worth that valuation, even though there's X amount of coins actually out there? So I feel this will always have that downward price pressure on it until it get down to a much lower USD valuation. We're still putting in lower lows overall in the chart, and we're going to see this kind of still play out. A break of that 30.032 area where we're at the 0.023. I mean, a notable higher high on a much larger time frame, basically breaking through those early September price points would definitely be significant.
All right, I think that's a great way to look at it. Let's keep moving on here to Nano. Maybe we'll check out Nano on your screen whenever you get that ready. I will have it ready. NANO. Was that the one that was XRB?
Don't.
No? Wasn't it like did it like Railbox? Is that Nano or a different one? XRB, right? Wasn't it a different symbol and it changed to Nano? That's what this one is, I believe.
That's possible. That sounds like a lot of sense.
So what do you got here on the candles or on just the way the chart looks to you in your opinion?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is another very tight apex we have here. Just do a quick triangle here. We're just watching this get very tight in our situation here. I'm on the 4-hour. I'm noting my red line here, my MA200. We've been keep wicking out on it. When we break it, wick out, break it, wick out. So we're still finding it as resistance. Tells me two things: to break above and hold would be very notable on the 4-hour chart. Lower time frames. The volume is definitely picked up here. Overall, it's a very bearish chart. You can see how much higher we were back in the day, back in March, April, May. It's still putting in these overall lower lows. Every time we do tend to do these triangles, they end up just breaking down. So this bounce consolidation has been notable, but I'm looking to see this kind of follow through. We are holding, looks like a little under a 61% retrace from our most recent swing low to swing high currently.
Beautiful. We have XLM. I'll take a jump in here on XLM for Sedat. So I think it's been pretty bullish, just kind of off the top of my head. But let's pull it up. Wow. Yep. So we're making a move here in the last day. Let's go 12-hour. So this is happening. Let's go 4-hour. So let's go 1 hour. Let's just get a feel for it. So this is what's happening here. Okay. A really nice move here. A lot of volume just a few hours ago. RSI hitting overbought territory. Little bit of an early bearish divergence here. We have this high wave candle, right? What's a high wave candle? Long upper and lower shadow, small real candle body. And that's the most important candle, I guess, for now, because we're still trading within that. We have an inside bar here, potentially inside bar break, but we're closing pretty reasonably here. So you might even want to go a smaller time frame. Almost like a falling wedge break here. So if you want to make the bullish argument, you could have kind of a falling wedge break here. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of FOMO just stay with your chart there.
Yep.
I think we're looking at just a little more of a FOMO we're seeing right now in the most recent price action, just because of what happened with BAT, and it's now new inclusion on the cool kids table from Coinbase Pro. I think because XLM and ADA and Zcash are the final three yet to be added of the Coinbase 6 so far. People are kind of loading up a little bit for what could potentially be an addition of this coin. Remember, this is a lot of supply in this coin here. XLM is a very high supply coin. So you got to keep those valuations in mind. Still in a very tight equilibrium here. And, if as every pullback in the price has put in a higher low, so that is definitely notable.
Excellent, my friend. And I appreciate you. I love these conversations when you join me because it's boring if I'm just talking to myself.
As you seldom do.
What are you talking about? All right, let's go to Vibe, requested by Ross. VIBE. We're at 1067. We're trying to hold support here on the daily 12-hour chart. Some really nice buy-in here back in September. After the downtrend break, we're consolidating. We're really hoping to maintain our higher lows and hold support. But there's, not a lot going on, just consolidation. Isn't that kind of what are you seeing over there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, after its nice bullish pop we had there towards the end of September, I remember this was one of those wow, hundreds of percent moves out of nowhere coins, right?
Mhm, mhm.
This was quite a pump.
Yeah.
So, this tells you a tale of two stories. It had its second little leg there, and then ever since then, it's basically been continuing to kind of consolidate, but
Mhm,
still sell off in this, probably giving back almost 50% of that gain there, still holding up on this very, very low volume. So, listen,
mhm,
if this has another leg in it, you
mhm,
definitely have been able to kind of keep buying these dips here as it keeps holding this range of support.
hmm,
You have the 12-hour here and basically seeing a declining RSI, a little toppy on the Stoke here, but our OBV still remains very strong. That
mhm.
is notable. Any kind of
Yeah.
major volume bars, especially on a couple 4-hour or 12-hour candles, would
Mhm.
be notable, potentially signaling money flowing back into this coin.
Yeah, let's take a look at our good friend ZRX. I put out a tweet. What did I say? Warm heart, cold wallet. That's my guy here. So let's take a look here. So we're hanging around the 50 period moving average, simple moving average. We have these three peaks clearly. I just, like I told you before, I look at the volume first, right? So I'm just kind of trying to see what's going on here. And I see we have these three peaks, right? And we've kind of had a period of consolidation after that, Big Jonas. Um, and I'm watching to see, I can hear a little bit of background noise. I'm watching to see if the price will hold support here at a logical support area. That would be a good spot. Bulls really want to hold right here to continue the argument. What's your thoughts?
I mean, listen, after it was added on the Coinbase platform, it had a wonderful pump and then it had a wonderful dump. And it's basically been consolidating more or less in the area where it had been prior to its official listing on Coinbase. So,
Mhm.
as we've seen it with Ethereum Classic, as we've seen it with other additions to other coins or other exchanges, there's an initial very bullish euphoria that's very short lived. So, and with Ethereum Classic, it's putting in lower lows than when it did when it was first added. Is ZRX going to basically set that new trend? And now, as basic attention token BAT, we basically have seen this play out before. That's why you got to be cautious and don't FOMO into these new additions. They're quick lived, they're short lived, and once they're added, they tend to sell off pretty quickly.
So what do you think? What do you think about like big money coming in? The question from Mo Gliasia, and who always I recognize the name. You're always joining these. I appreciate that, and to others as well. All the repeat people and everyone who joined us from the public. We love having you. So yeah, big money. The arrival of big money, like Backed and Fidelity, kind of getting involved in this space. Do you think that alone will their presence will help create a rise in Bitcoin price?
I think big money is smart money, and
Mhm.
smart money is smart enough to basically stay on the sidelines long enough until there's a better value price in the price of Bitcoin and
Mhm.
more or less crypto in general. Of course, we're going to see pops here and there with certain coins based on news driven events.
Mhm.
Some coins will jump 10, 20% in a day out of nowhere, retrospective of other coins. Some are chart based, but Bitcoin will still run the show. And that's the only coin that really matters in the long run
Hmm.
because Bitcoin's valuation is
Mhm.
going to determine everybody else's valuation. And right now, that's the one I'm continue to watch to see if we can build on any bullish momentum. Remember, we are at a cheaper price in Bitcoin this week than we were last week, and Twitter seems to be almost more bullish now this week. I'm still trying to find that hesitation there, but we're at a lower price than we were several days ago, and yet people seem to be more bullishly optimistic. So I take a little solace in that, and just be smart. Like just watch for the volume. The
Mhm.
volume will tell us the story in the end.
So I love that answer, and we'll just wrap it up with this last mini question here. For me, my answer is ZRX is the only one that I know enough about to maybe feel comfortable holding for the
Hmm.
next few years. Are there any, if I could give you like two or three, not to put you in the spot, but that you'd feel comfortable, say, hold it in your cold wallet?
It's called Bitcoin Gold, and
Okay.
it's the future. No, I mean, honestly, the thing is this, like, there'll be a moment where I will want to hold no matter what Bitcoin, where I will want to hold no matter what a couple potentially select coins that I feel have the best potential to ride up another bullish momentum movement in Bitcoin. But
Mhm.
remember, in the end, Bitcoin's valuation tremendously outpaced over the longer run a lot of these coins, and its longevity made it even that much more valuable. So I will continue to watch it, the big dog, for the long haul
Mhm.
and trade and scalp moments where opportunities are presented to us
Mhm.
in volatile situations where extreme overbought and or oversold conditions are at hand.
I love it. I'll remind everyone my good friend here is Jonas Trading. You can find him on YouTube at Jonas Trading. There's really good videos, and he also you do a lot of those like 2-minute updates I see, right, on Bitcoin and stuff like that.
Keep it quick, keep it real.
And you're always like, "Hey, I have a new idea how to make this even cooler." So I like how you're into that. And you know me, of course. I'm on Twitter at Big Cheds. I want to thank you, and I appreciate everyone joining the Bitcoin Live Q&A session. And we will see you guys soon. And safe trading. Big Cheds out.
Peace.
Peace.